Can the good news man still read?
In the same way, you husbands
must
live with your wife with the proper understanding that they are weaker than you. Treat them with respect, because they also will receive together with you God's gift of life. Do this so that nothing will interfere with your prayers.
Do you hear that now? Where is Living Bible? Let me read Living Bible now. You husbands
must be careful of your wives.
Be careful of your wives.
Being thoughtful of their needs.
And
honoring them as the weaker
sex.
Remember that you and your wife are partners. In receiving God's blessings. And if you don't treat her as you should. Your prayers will not get ready answers.
Hey. You are not hearing. Now, I did ask a question yesterday. I think we run church account here. And how many signatories do we have? 3. What was the rule you gave the bank? Any 2 must sign. Am I right? So when they draw the check and the first signatory signs and the second signatory is not around to sign, can they honor the check? What has God joined together? God has joined your account in heaven together. Every time you are coming into the place of prayer to claim a blessing from heaven, please listen to me. There is one person that you cannot do without. If your prayer is going to be answered, who is that person? Your wife or your husband? I want to say to you, brothers and sisters, that sometimes you see a man, he has abandoned his wife. He has said, go away. And then he has met another brother and said, let's just agree together. Let's just agree together. The Bible says, if any of you shall agree as touching anything that you will ask, you will get it. And they are doing like this. Do you know that the person you are joining hand with has no signature in the account? It's like Baba has signed and the secretary is the next person to sign, but he's not around, or we are quarreling with them saying, no, if he doesn't sign, don't. You just, any 2 signatures, just sign. You just sign. And then we go to the bank. And I even go with him. I said, the other man that is a recognized signatory has decided to be unreasonable today. So I just brought this friend of mine to come and sign. Will it work? Do you know what will happen? They may arrest him. Do you know that? They will arrest him. Say, why is he impersonating the second signatory? I love church prayers. And I encourage us as church to pray. But I want to inform you, the signature that will make your prayer to be answered, particularly, is the agreement of your partner, your wife or your husband. Do you know that we may join hands and we are praying, we are praying, we are praying, we are praying. We may even be shaking and shaking and shaking and doing like this and doing like this and doing like this and doing like this when he is quarreling with his wife. Will his prayer pass the ceiling? Do you know what heaven is saying? He said, Brother Gbile is not your co-signatory in this matter. Go and bring your bone. Now, except you recognize that actually what God has joined together between you and your wife is not your casual hand. He has joined your account in his presence together. As long as she's alive, her signature is important. If he dies, if the signatory die, what happens now? It's finished. That one is dead. But when he is alive, and you are not in agreement with her or with him, you are going nowhere. And many times you are wondering, why is it that people pray so much and nothing is happening? It's because the second signatory has not been consulted. You know, many times I go for meetings and I see many women in the church. They are the ones that have come for prayer meeting. And do you know what God is asking? Where are their husbands? Where is your husband's signature in this prayer? It pains me that many husbands don't understand that without your agreement, your wife is not going anywhere. And without her coming with you, you are not going far. What is it that God has joined together? He has joined your blessedness. Your blessing will be hindered unless you move together. Let's check. What else has God joined together? I want us to quickly check something and then I will leave it. Because if marriage was just an ordinary relationship, I will not worry. But I'm realizing that was when I began to be very, very concerned about the condition of marriage. I realized that day, will you go with this man? And I see how many young people, they quickly shout, yes, I do. Once you say, yes, I do, something is joined. Do you know what is joined? Your destinies are joined. Everything about you is joined. All that you can become in life is joined. Your progress and her progress joined. Your efficiency and her deficiency is joined. How efficient a man could be, but when he's joined to a deficient woman, the efficiency is cancelled and becomes zero. Because you are joined. Now, go to Genesis chapter 24. Would you like to quickly check Genesis 24? We have no time to read the whole story, but there's something I want to show you quickly. Now, before Genesis 24, you remember in Genesis 22, when Isaac was still a young man, when God told his father to go and offer him as a burnt offering on the Mount of Moriah. Do you remember the story? Now, in that chapter 22, when the father did, look at verse 16. I want you to see verse 16, all of you. Genesis 22:16. Are you there? Are you there? You know we are doing Bible study. That's why I cannot be preaching like parrot. I have to be carrying you along because I want you to see it in your Bible. Are you there now? And in verse 16. And he said, God said, by myself have I sworn, says the Lord. For because thou hast done this thing, and hast not withheld your son, thy only son, that in blessing I will do what? I'll bless you. In multiplying, I will do what? I'll multiply your seed as the stars of the heaven, and as the sand which is upon the seashore. And thy seed shall do what? Possess the gate of his enemies. And in thy seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed, because thou hast obeyed my son. Now, who is God pointing at in that passage? Who is that seed that is also talking about? This is Isaac. Now, go to chapter 24. I want you all to please go to chapter 24. You will remember that this particular blessing on Isaac, where was it taking place? On Mount Moriah. In the land of Canaan. Now go to chapter 24 now. When they went to look for a wife for Isaac, where was they looking for this girl for Isaac? Can you remember? It was in the Ur of Chaldees, very far away. Now go with me. In verse 57. 57. Are you there in 57? Genesis 24:57. And they said, we will call the damsel and inquire at her mouth. And they called Rebekah and said to her, will thou go with this man? And what was her answer? Verse 59. And they sent away Rebekah their sister and her nurse, and Abraham's servant and his men. Verse 60. And they blessed Rebekah and said to her, look at what they said, thou art our sister, be thou the mother of thousands of millions, and let your seed do what? Possess the gate of those which hate them. Now let's listen. Is there anything that resembles something in chapter 22? What was that? The blessing. What was put on Abraham, on Isaac, about 28 years ago? If Isaac was 12 years when this blessing was pronounced, he was now 40 years when they were looking for this wife. So for 28 years, Isaac has been carrying a blessing. Are you hearing me? 28 years, there's something God wanted him to become. And he has been there on his head for 28 years. Now the day they asked Rebekah, will you go with this man? The distance between Moriah, where Isaac was blessed, to Ur of Chaldees, where Rebekah was being blessed in her own family now, is a 3 days journey. Are you hearing me? How did it happen that when they told Rebekah to kneel down, as they opened their mouth, they've never seen Isaac? They were not there when God pronounced the blessing on Isaac 28 years ago. Hey, how did it happen that they now began to speak and say, Rebekah, you will be the mother of what? Of thousands of millions, and let your seed do what? Possess the gate of their enemies. How did they do that? Do you know what is happening now? What do you think God is joining together now? Is joining their destiny together. What has been on the head of Isaac for 28 years, now that Ruth said, I will go with him, what have they done now? They have also brought the destiny on Isaac now on Rebekah. What has God joined together? He has joined their destinies. He has joined their blessing. He has joined their accounts. He has joined everything about them together. Hey, are you hearing me at all? The woman you marry, sir, carries your blessing. It's been joined. It's joined. Brother, are you hearing me? What has been put on your life 20 years ago, that heaven has been watching and be praying that you will become, the day that sister said, yes, I do you know what they did immediately? They brought that on her. And what it means is that without her, you won't fulfill your destiny. It's not an easy matter. So, in chapter 25, after they had married for 20 years, they said Rebecca was barren for 20 years. When Rebecca was barren for 20 years, who was barren for 20 years? I'm not hearing you. Why Rebecca was barren for 20 years? Can Isaac progress into his destiny? I'm not hearing against us. Aha. Now, what is it that God has joined together? All that you can become in life. All that heaven is expecting you to become. All that God has spoken concerning you from your mother's womb, the day that sister came into your life in marriage, is joined. It means, what it means, if you understand the Bible very well, is that in that woman, your destiny has been located and locked up. You can no longer be on your own. Oh. You can no longer pursue your personal agenda. Oh. Wives, are you hearing me? Wives, are you hearing me? Someone say, well, let him do his business. I do my own. You have no other business, oh. No other business, oh. My father was not a Christian. He was not a Christian. But I saw something that baffled me between himself and his wife, my mother. And I said, God, this kind of thing I'm seeing here, I didn't understand. But it's a rule. What was it? Anytime my mother used to sell meat, she sells nama. So we normally go to the slaughter slab to kill cow, and then we will be selling. And I normally carry the meat behind her as we are going from house to house. In those days, there is no scale that you come to market and say, give me 1 kg there. It's nothing like that. We go from house to house. Menama is here. So we start. Now, when we get, I discover that any day Mama is going out in the morning and she kneels down with her before her husband and say, bless us before we go. And Baba just put his leg on the stool and he will put his hand and say, go. My blessing go with you. All the favor of today will go with you. Whenever we go with our meat, before 12 noon, we are finished selling. But any day, they quarreled. And Mama goes out in annoyance. Say, let's go, don't mind your Baba, don't mind him. We'll carry meat from morning till 4 p.m. Nobody is buying anything. My neck, oh God, oh. I never knew I was going to be a preacher, you know. I thought I was going to die as a butcher. I thank God. God has a plan for my life. That's why I'm here right now. You see, and I will carry the meat and we shall be going together. When we have gone round and round, you say, Mama said, do you want? I said, we don't have meat. We don't want meat. Do you want meat here? They say, no, there's no meat. Do you want meat? Somebody has already sold meat now. We don't want anything. We will go round and round and round. You are hungry. And because there's no fridge, there's no freezer, any meat you don't sell that day is wasted. We can't go back. So when we have traveled, go around the whole town, Mama will say, you see now your father. I say, what did he do? He say, now your father is annoyed with me. Let's go home. So when we will be going back home, not once, not twice, not 10 times, I've seen it every time. Baba will be sitting at the door. He's expecting her back with heavy load. By the time we will be coming back, you don't come? I hope you sold. Mama will say, how will I sell? Didn't you block the way? And Baba will say, I thought you know how to go. When you are going, I thought you know what you are doing. And then she will kneel down and say, please now, don't let me enter into debt now. I say, okay, go and cook for me first. Can you imagine? We have not sold anything since morning till 4 p.m. And Baba will say, okay, go and cook for me first. Cut this meat and go and cook. So when Mama has cooked and he has eaten, even if it is 5 p.m., he says, okay, come now. Come and go. You will say, do you know 5 p.m. we will carry the meat, we are going out again. And in less than 1 hour, I don't know how it normally happens. Suddenly we will see someone say, hey, Mama, do you have meat? And somebody just died now and we need meat to quickly do something. Then we bring it. They say, how much? We will buy everything. Where's money? They will bring money. In another 30 minutes, even myself, I'm coming back jubilating because there's no more load on my neck. Do you understand what I'm talking about? It was then I realized. So next time when we are going out and I found that they were not talking, I normally remind Mama, have you greeted Baba before you leave? You know, sometimes I watch that they could quarrel, and because I know the consequence, I will come and be the mediator because I don't want to carry load. I don't want to carry load. And you know, as soon as that is done, everything is fine. Sometimes while he is eating, people will come to the house. Mama, is there any meat? We really have need. Oh, and Mama will bring meat. Sometimes we are not going anywhere. People will clear it and bring cash. What was it? What God has joined together. Your marriage is not an ordinary matter. It is not your clothes that God joined together. If it is ordinary uniform that you are buying that God joined together, that can fade away. What God has joined together is your lives. God has joined your destiny together. All that you can become in God's program is joined together. You have been joined. You have been what? Joined. Friend, you are joined. You can't separate. You can't cut it now. And do you know the way it is? Let me show you the way it is joined, sir, Baba. You see, if it is just joined like this, then you can neatly do what? Cut it. But now, is like this and like this. So you don't know where to start cutting, because everything is what? Is mixed together. Mixed, interwoven together completely. Hey, my sister, I pray that God will open your eyes to understand that that man that you have married, everything about you has been mixed. His own is mixed. Everything is now one. And so you can't separate. What therefore God has joined together, let not man put what? Asunder. It's been joined. Hey, sister, you have been joined. You are joined. There's no how you can cut it. You will have a scar. When you try to cut it, what you will discover is that half will be there, 1/4 will be here. The 1/4 that is left here is useless, because the other aspect is lost there. So what is God now demanding from wives and from husbands? This is where I want to conclude. Because God has joined them. How? Together. So what does the Bible say? Live joyfully. You better settle down. Help me tell someone, sir. Settle down. Settle down. It has been joined. You are not helping me tell. He's not hearing you. Settle down. It has been joined.